Like if he could have just been with Felix for the rest of his life, living in that mansion, and that Felix was now
Hell yeah.
beholden to him because all of his family was gone. That was
Yes.
probably his plan.
Yes.
But once Felix pissed him off and like pulled the
Yep.
carpet out from under him, he's like, oh no, I need everyone to mourn you. Want to listen to this episode ad free? Head on over to our Patreon, patreon.com/Ivory Tower Boiler Room, and get a free trial for the ITBR professor level. And you can actually watch this episode as a video episode as well. While you're at it, did you know that on Spotify, we now have a subscription service for $10 a month? You get access to all of our ad-free episodes plus any bonus episodes. So make sure that you rate, review, and follow the Ivory Tower Boiler Room. Make sure that you follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Ivory Tower Boiler Room. And follow Mary DePippi's show, True Crime in Academia, at True Crime in Academia. Thank you all for your support. And without further ado, here's today's episode.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Hi, this is Dr. Andrew Rimby, and when I'm not here on the podcast, I am consulting with small businesses, undergraduate students, graduate students, podcasters, and those in media. So if you're curious about the work that I've done with my consultation services, you could just type me in on Google, Ivory Tower Boiler Room, and you'll see a few reviews pop up. I've worked on college admission essays for undergraduate students. I've revamped and expanded a small business's social media marketing campaign right here in Port Jefferson, New York. And I've also worked on a graduate student's thesis for her physician assistant program. So if you want to seek me out or inquire about my consultation services, just email me. That's the easiest way to reach me at ivorytowerboilerroom@gmail.com. That's easy to remember. And 'tis the season for college admission essays, both undergraduate and graduate, thesis writing, dissertation writing. Do you want to create a podcast and you don't know where to begin? Media work, how to open a TikTok, how to start creating videos on TikTok, what to do with your Instagram. All of that I have done. So just reach out to me. Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Andrew Rimby. Welcome back to the Ivory Tower Boiler Room, a very special cultural phenomenon episode. You've heard of Saltburn, you've seen the TikToks. It's become just the water cooler conversation or the phone conversation nowadays. So I'm so excited because Tristan Poulin, my friend, hi Tristan.
A
I hope everyone has listened to Tristan's episode about theater. He's all things a theater extraordinaire, creator, director, playwright, all the things. It was his idea, so thank you, Tristan, because I haven't been able to get Saltburn out of my head, and I'm so glad that I had an opportunity to rewatch it.
Yeah, it's amazing. When I was watching it, I was like, I have to call Andrew. Like this is what I feel like your podcast is about. And like you dive into the nitty-gritty and there's so much to dive into this.
Yeah, subterfuge, counterintelligence, subverting the stereotypes of normative
Mhm.
behavior and social class and gender and sexuality. Yeah, it's wild. And if you don't have the pleasure of watching this on either YouTube or Patreon, I have this like kaleidoscope image of all the characters behind me. Um, so like first, like what drew you to Saltburn? Like, did you know about what the movie was going to be, or did you just go in not having any prior knowledge about it?
I had wanted to watch it in theaters when it came up because like, oh, how do you say his name? I just went blank. Jordy.
Oh, you're talking about Barry?
No, the other one. I just
Oh,
lost
Jacob Elordi. Jacob Elordi.
Jacob. So I fell in love with him during Euphoria. I just think he's a
Mhm.
really strong actor, and I've been kind of following his career and stuff like that. So I wanted to see this. And plus, it has a good cast, and some of them have Oscar noms. And then it came, and I had no clue what this film was about. All I knew is that the little poster says we're all about to lose our mind. And I love all things mayhem. I read one article that said from beginning to end, this show is nothing more than ritualistic performance. And I went, what?
Mm,
And that's my background as a grad,
yeah.
so I was like, I have to go watch this, and it did not let me down.
Yeah, well, I remember when the trailer came out, and if you look back at the trailer, it really just seems like a lush mansion countryside
Yeah.
lifestyle film. Like you don't really see all the black comedy psychological thriller aspects. Because I remember when I wanted to see it with my boyfriend, which we did in the movie theaters in November. That was a while ago, but right, it took a while for it to go to Amazon, which is why all the TikToks started to explode because then it had been streaming.
Right.
Um, so, and then people could like myself now, video sections of it and create TikToks and things, which you really can't do in the movie theater, or you're not supposed to.
Right.
I still am not safe enough or comfortable in my skin to film at a movie theater because
Mm.
that is copyright infringement, and I think I'll get
Yeah, the
penalized for
FBI will
that.
be like, boom, 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 boom. Yeah,
Well, do you
no.
remember when they used to, especially in New York City or any city, they would like have the bootleg DVDs of movies that came out in the
Oh yeah,
movie theaters?
yeah,
I just
yeah.
remember watching some of those, and I'm like, where were they sitting in the movie theater?
Well, and I
Um,
remember like when being little and the FBI warning would come across, and I thought I was going to get arrested for even watching the movie. So, we're in a whole nother world.
oh my gosh. Well, and yeah, so I saw it like before Thanksgiving, I think. Um, or it was just after Thanksgiving, sometime around then it had come out. And I loved how it just exceeded my expectations.
Mhm.
Because I
Well,
really loved the director, Emerald Fennell,
oh
and
yeah,
didn't realize she was Midge in Barbie.
I did not
Like the
either.
pregnant Barbie. Yeah, that's
Yep.
her. And I love I was obsessed with how the cinematography and style of Promising Young Woman and how because I was working out today listening to Promising Young Woman soundtrack, and I realized she really does love a musical soundtrack to
Mhm.
frame her narrative of the
Yeah.
films.
Well,
Um, yeah.
going back to what you talked about the trailer, when I first watched the trailer, it was giving me like a modern take on Call Me by Your Name,
Yeah. Yeah.
about like subtlety of intimacy and like, hidden but unspoken love. And I was like ready to go in and be like, oh, this is cute. And then I was like clenching my pearls.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then what I loved though is I know so many people now, the critics especially, are like talking about how it's like she borrowed so much from talented Mr. Ripley, but I don't really know the talented Mr. Ripley that well, even though now I have it in my Libby app, like to read as I'm like walking on my treadmill eventually. We'll see when that I mean the walking on the treadmill I do, but I don't know when I'll start to
Yeah.
read it. But I just love how when you rewatch it, it's giving me a whole new perspective because I know of all the spoilers. Like, I don't know how you feel. You said you've watched it 5 times, so I'm
Yeah,
sure
I watched
you're
it five
picking up
times.
on a lot.
So I'm picking up on it, but the thing that I picked up on more than anything was all the connections to literature and
Mm,
art throughout the ages, like American Psycho,
yeah.
Summer Night's Dream, literally, like the story of Icarus, and all of these things, and it's very Whitmatic. I mean, like I kept thinking of Whitman's poetry through the whole thing, like,
Mm.
you
Well, how
know.
so?
like I Sing the Body Electric and all the men bathing.
Oh
And
yeah.
I can't remember the one poem,
Wait,
but
can we just not to, this is, you're on the podcast network, but this is like our informal chat. Like why does he have to be naked in the grass? Like, I mean, that is very Whitmanic. You're right. Like the
yeah.
nudity in the grass and sunbathing, but like, why do they all have to be naked? I like rewatched that. I'm like, do they just need to like compare each other's like cock sizes? Like, I didn't
Yeah,
know what
like
was going on.
I don't know that, but like it's also I think it's a de-shedding. Like if I was
Oh,
directing this, I would say it's a de-shedding of
mhm,
showing bareness, and it's an act of unmasking, which is
mhm.
it really doesn't work. You know,
No,
like
because he's able to deceive
yeah,
and hide even when he keeps being made nude. Oh, that's such an interesting
because
metaphor.
I also think looking back at it, I think he's a sociopath.
Oh yeah.
Like, and I think that when you watch back, you start to see he's playing into their world. I mean, like, who has the money to leisurely all summer lay in naked grass and like, like it's so weird. And here's one thing: I would never lay naked in the grass with my siblings. Like that was weird in itself to me. Like, it
Yeah.
just seemed
I don't
everyone.
have siblings, so I wouldn't worry about that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
no.
it does seem um it seems like okay, let's talk about the social class aspect because I think rewatching it, I'm seeing framed in a much more um heightened way. Like how interested the family wants to be in social ills and problems or mental health, but
Mhm.
how they could give a shit about the actual people's emotions.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Elspeth's friend that she takes in, and then she jokes about her killing herself. And she's
Yeah,
like, oh, she was always dramatic. I'm
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
what?
And tell me about your dad. Tell me about this. It reminds me of, and I don't know if you've ever read this play, but A Woman of No Importance by Oscar Wilde. And, he's always like talking about classism and how they interact and the drama of it all and like the gaslighting, but the rumor mill. And that's what when they're leisurely, like the family at Saltburn, they don't have real people problems. Their privilege keeps them above lofty in the clouds. So they're sitting down and she's sunbathing and she's like, like, oh, it's just the hottest day of the year. And she's recalling when, so and so wrote a song about me, but it really wasn't about me because I hate reading. Like they don't have problems. Like I think the biggest problem they have is when he dies,
Mhm.
like it's a reckoning. And I, yeah, the classism, the socioeconomic lens that you could place on this is unreal. From the moment he steps foot on, well, actually, I think it's the opening scene when he's walking through the campus and they're like, oh, nice outfit, that you see right then
Yeah. Well,
deprivation.
and I'm going to give spoilers now, so be ready, everyone. But like, right, once you know the sociopathic tendencies, he now owns the mansion at the end, the infamous murder on the dance floor, which I've had so much fun like doing those videos. Um, sent my boyfriend some videos, but don't need to talk about that. Um, but I did talk about it. I know
Bossy.
exactly what I'm doing, Tristan.
I know you
So
know exactly what you're doing.
so Um, what I think is so fascinating though is when you know that and then you rewatch the film, the montage, even before you see that like cartoonish Saltburn title screen, which I still think she does whoever she's working with, they always do such a good job in her films with the stylizing of just even the title screens.
Yeah.
It felt very medieval what was happening in the Saltburn title. It looks,
Shakespearean.
yeah, Shakespearean,
Yeah.
almost Canterbury Tales-ish.
Yes.
Um, and but you get this montage of like, um, I loved him, or did I love him? And it's like he's questioning, um, like how many, let me count the ways, like very Elizabeth Barrett Browning.
Yeah.
of his love. And he's also smoking a cigarette and recalling. So everything's already happened that he's done to the family
Yeah.
and the tragedy. So you're like, wait, what kind of frame of mind is he in? Like, who is he telling this narrative to? Is he trying to let out all his guilt, or is he completely fine with everything he's done and he's now just going to relish in how he accomplished seizing a mansion from them?
Yeah. And
It's
I read
wild.
something the other day that said that there's a theory that Barry's character knew the guy that went the summer before, that there's something in the movie that lends itself to that. So this was
Mm.
like premeditated.
Well,
Like,
everything is premeditated, right?
oh yeah, but I mean like as in
Oh,
like
you
he
mean
knew,
premeditated?
yeah, he knew he had a goal, a
Yeah.
plan
Even
before
before he
he
went
went
to
full on.
campus,
Yeah.
like he knew that he was going to infiltrate into the family. That's fascinating. Okay, so we all got to rewatch now with that eye to like what
Yeah.
happened to. Well, yeah. Venetia keeps saying to him, um, like, "Oh, he'll get tired of you, like he gets tired with his other playthings," and like she's referring to the like impoverished or less than fortunate guys he brings as like a badge of honor that he's like doing mission work or
Yeah.
however they're seeing. But
Yeah.
they're all doing that in some, except Venetia, I guess. But they're all somehow, well, I don't know. Don't you think they're all somehow
I mean,
trying to
she
relate?
reads from it. I mean, I think where he's the giver,
Yeah.
right? He is the angel. Like one thing I saw an interview with her about how she purposely had his costumes be linen so that the light could come through when he picked up his arm. And there's these shots in the movie where like he has aura of light around him, that he's angelic, saint-like. He's not the problem. He was just born into his family, but she is always shrouded in darkness. And like, because she's the
Mhm.
taker. And the reason the last friend went away is because she, can I say the F word on this
Yeah.
podcast? Um, and then, it's like she takes and he gives. So they're like the yin yang. And once he dies, that balance is thrown off. And then there's
Yeah.
balance after she's gone, you know?
Yeah. I think that each of them are trying to relate to the everyday person and make themselves feel better that they're not privileged, right? It's like they're uber wealthy, but they're not privileged, even though they have like all this staff. But it's so fascinating. Like, even when he wants to order an egg, it becomes this dramatic scene as if they've never seen like someone, debate about what they're going to eat for breakfast. But
Well,
like
they
everything
have such
has
a
to be,
regimen. But that's the
yeah.
thing. I think that's where they talk about the ritualistic performance of this, is that we all have our daily rituals, then we have cultural, and like even breakfast to them is ritual. You have to shave. My mom has a phobia of like stubble. You have to dress, we dress for dinner. We wake up and like everyone is eating. And if you watch the plates that they're eating, it is minute.
Mm.
And the parties are grandiose. They're these spectacles. Like everything is a ritual to these people.
Yeah.
And he finds it and he figures it out. The moment I realized the first time I was watching it, I said, oh shit, he's got a game plan going. Is when he goes to sit down. It's the first time we ever see him smoke. And it's when she says the funny line about, I used to be a lesbian, but it was entirely too wet down there for me or whatever, which I was like, same girl, same. But he takes a drag of the cigarette and he purposely makes, what's the character's name that they send off? The first one, the tragic girl.
Oh, Pamela.
Pamela. They send Pamela packing and he's like, but do you know, I think she's using you. And he's like gaslighting her so that he becomes closer. And that's he infiltrates her. So if he can't have him and he can't have Venetia, that he goes to the mom. And I mean, he's a leech. He gets the blood he wants. literally.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that also he um and like not only is a leech, but like the way you can see everything relating of the false narrative that he's saying, he then is projecting it onto the other people. So like
Mm-hmm.
he has Elspeth question Pamela about
Mm-hmm.
the exact um sociopathic narrative he's feeding the family. So it's
Well,
like,
and
no, Pamela wasn't lying. You're lying, and
right.
you're now using Pamela as this alibi.
Well, he does that with everyone, though. He does it against,
Mhm.
the sister and the brother, and then getting the cousin thrown out. Like he is he's a mastermind at what he's doing.
Yeah. Well, okay. So what did you think of sexuality or just eroticism? Like, what is, like, do you feel like this is a more erotically charged Great Gatsby? 'Cause in a way, I found it interesting that you get, like, because she was in Promising Young Woman. Carrie Mulligan, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Is
yeah.
yeah, and she was in The Great Gatsby, the one with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
And I almost thought like it is kind of a, psychological thriller a la Great Gatsby, but not the Great Gatsby, but like showing the excesses of privilege,
Oh,
but like
yeah,
not
yeah.
the excesses where the Great Gatsby, in my opinion, shows you like how egotistical wealth will drive people and what's hidden under the surface. This I feel is like they're trying to be almost like Get Out,
Oh,
philanthropic
yeah, yeah, yeah.
people. They're actually vile in aspects. Like there are diabolical things that each family member is doing to each other. Like they're being used as pawns.
Well, and I think that that's what it is that like I could see where you're going with Great Gatsby. I never made that connection when I was watching it, but I did think it was a game of using.
Hi, this is Andrew at the Soapbox NY, a bath and body boutique in Port Jefferson Village on Long Island. And I'm going to announce a really fun cross promotion that I'm doing with Janine, the co-owner of the Soapbox. So I'm holding here Wicked, The Life and Times of the Wicked Witch of the West by Gregory Maguire, who I had the pleasure of interviewing on the podcast. Listen back to that episode. I'm hosting an ITBR book club. We're chatting all about Wicked. So join me on April 7th at 4 p.m. It's virtual, and you can be in your pajamas and be nice and cozy. And it's $4 to join. Go to @Ivory Tower Boiler Room and click the link in our bio to RSVP. So with Janine, I said, Janine, can you find a Team Glinda and a Team Alpha Bath and Body product? She found them. So I'm definitely Team Alphaba. She's Team Glinda, unfortunately. Or fortunately, because we want you all in the comments to say which team you're on.
Hi there, I'm definitely Team Glinda, and the pink product I chose to show you is by Farmhouse Fresh, and it is their Watermelon Aid Silky Gelée Serum. It is a wrinkled out gelée serum that consists of watermelon and CBD. It's vegan, it is animal cruelty free, and it's amazing. It's hyaluronic, and it helps to soften out any little fine lines that you might have around your face. Put it on right before your moisturizer, and it's amazing. And I think it's a lot better than my rival's product. I don't know. Team Alphaba's product is by Finchberry. It is, of course, called Emerald, with a beautiful citrus and violet scent. I have to show you the bar. Look at all of these shades of Emerald. I think the Emerald City citizens would definitely use this in their shower. And the wizard, oh, well, he would be putting this gold everywhere. So I love Finchberry. They're a vegan-friendly and paraben-free company. So I don't know. Are you Team Glinda with the Watermelonade? Or are you Team Alphaba with the Emerald Soap? So are you Team Alphaba with Finchberry? Or are you Team Glinda with Farmhouse Fresh's Watermelonade? Did you hear that? I just heard a cyclone. And look what we have. It looks like we found the Wicked Witch of the East ruby red slippers. Mm-hmm. You can also get these beautiful Snoozies slippers at the Soapbox NY before Dorothy steals them, because she's a pesky little girl.
Okay, let us know which team you're on. Are you a fan of LGBTQ plus books, plays, movies, TV shows? Well, then I have the magazine for you. It's called The Gay and Lesbian Review. The GNLR is a bi-monthly magazine of history, culture, and politics that publishes essays in a wide range of disciplines, as well as a slew of reviews of books, plays, and movies. Each issue brings you consistently intelligent, lively, thought-provoking articles focused on a unifying theme, and it brings together the leading minds on the topic. So I just had on Dr. Richard Schneider Jr., the founder and editor-in-chief of the GNLR. For the GNLR's 30th anniversary, happy birthday, GNLR, Dr. Richard Schneider talked about their special volume called Outer Appearances, More Faces from the Annals of the GNLR, illustrations by Charles Heffling. They cover current LGBTQ artists such as Harvey Fierstein, Melissa Etheridge, Alan Cumming, James Whiteside, Alison Bechdel, and even David Sedaris, and of course, many others like Stephen Sondheim. There's even a supplemental issue that comes with your commemorative volume. And Andrew Holleran, the writer of Dancer from the Dance, he reviews a book called Morris about E.M. Forster's Morris, written by one of our ITBR guests, David Grevin. So we can't wait for you all to experience this beautiful 30th anniversary GNLR issue. Have you heard some of my GNLR interviews, including Dr. Andrew Lear's discussion about male-male love in ancient Greek society and Ignacio Darnad opening and blasting the closet door in the queer male art world? Well, definitely make sure you listen to them after this episode. Head to glreview.org. Make sure you subscribe to their magazine. You'll see there's a section that says subscribe at the top. Enter the promo code ITBR50. That's ITBR50 to receive 50% off. 50% off any print or digital subscription. Enjoy your reading.
And a game of chess, but everyone was playing against everyone. And, you know, when like the party scene, when they're like, oh, we'll have this big party and they're all, you know, even the cousin comes out and he has the donkey head. Like they're just so foiled to Shakespearean characters, all of them, every single one of them. And then, you know, the whole, they're gonna have to help me because my Greek literature is not all that great, but the whole like Minotaur and the labyrinth and all of that, you know what I'm talking about? And like
yes.
that whole storyline, it's just like, who did she write this too?
I'll check.
Because whoever wrote it was brilliant, because I love when people take classic literature and they layer it in to create something new and fresh.
Oh yes, she did write it.
Okay, yeah, that checks. I mean, this
Yes.
woman is brilliant.
Yes, and she went to Oxford too.
Yeah.
So I feel like she's really drawing on her Oxford education. But also, how about the Harry Potter references? Like what makes it so 2007? Like you can see like what the craze was of Harry Potter and Ron, Hermione. I don't know. There's like they're joking about who would have sex with each other or they would be in a threesome. Something like that.
Well, and the other thing that I thought was cool about it in that time period in all of her things, well, actually that thought just completely left my brain. Never mind. Continue. It just came in and left in the same sentence.
Well, okay, so why Oxford? Like, what's so important about it being such a prestigious institution where they're all like meeting each other? Like the education, do you think education is there's
Well, I
some
think it's
critique about education here?
legacies, you know, like that, and then the scholarship kid and how like they think that the people who give the money have the money are untouchable and all of us are just on the lower social ladder of it all, and how it's kind of all bogus. And yeah, oh, I know what I was about to say is one thing that I connected it to was the play by Jeremy O. Harris, Slave Play, that
Oh,
is
yes.
when he went to Yale, that's where he got his inspiration for that, was that study went on at Yale or whatever. And the level of sexual energy within that play, plus with Saltburn, was just visceral, you know?
Yeah,
And
I
it's
think you talked about slave play on Queer as Folk. I don't know
maybe
if your Queer as
it's my
Folk
favorite
episode
play
is
right
out
now.
yet, but you did talk about it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
need
my
to.
favorite play right now. But yeah, it's just I love how we are now as a society willing to sit down and have really sit in discomfort about sexual identity, sex, fetishes, and like, but also like the mental states of people who participate in those sexual acts,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, as a transition, um, to talk about all things sexuality, I was joking with my boyfriend that I would like show parts of the movie on TikTok and say like, getting ideas for role playing.
Oh,
But hi Lawrence, my boyfriend has just joined the call. What about like sexuality, like Tristan, if you want to lead it off? It seems like you have some thoughts about the sexual acts. So, like, is it actually arousing, or do you think like Oliver does he even care about sex, or is it something else he's doing?
I think I once had a debate in undergrad actually about like people who sometimes identify as asexual who actually get off on power
Mm.
and the need to have power within it. So it's not the intimacy of sex that they want the control of it. And I think that that's him, is that he he idolizes the life that he wants, and that's the sexual feed of how to get to that. You and I talked about this about something once, and I can't remember what we were talking about, but it's also like, it's also, what is it when you're like sexually attracted to yourself?
Like an autoeroticism?
Yeah, like I
Oh,
was kind of getting those vibes, especially because it's not like all of my like straight friends were like baffled about the bathtub, which as a gay man, I was like, okay, and move on, but like it was that he
yeah, I
wanted,
didn't think it was that disturbing. Not that like I'm going to do that, but I'm just saying there
no,
could be more disturbing things to do in
yeah,
the bathtub.
no, thank you, because I was thinking like golden showers when everyone was
Yeah,
talking
I mean,
about
that would have
it.
been
And
a
I was
different
like,
scene.
oh, we're going to do this on film. Great. Which I would have been for anyway, but especially with those two dudes. But it just seemed like he was drinking the essence
Yeah.
of, like, that's how bad like he wanted to become. And if you watch the character development as an actor and director, this is what I saw, is that from the moment he drinks from the bathtub, he changes. The way
Uh,
he dresses changes, the way he holds
mhm,
himself changes. He becomes them.
mhm.
And it also gives him this power of, because then you directly go into the scene that got me, that I clenched my pearls, is the bench scene, the vampire scene.
Oh,
That was
oh,
a
oh,
Oh, I couldn't, not to kink shame anyone, but I couldn't do it. I was literally behind a blanket going,
yeah. But she loves it. Venetia is all for that. I mean,
well, I'm sure.
there are straight couples who I think really get off on that. Mm.
Oh, what? Yeah, never mind. I almost dropped a name. No, but like I know that's a thing, but I was just like, because it's also right there. You see his need, his sexual need for control, because he's like, you're going to eat and you're going to keep it down. And actually, I'm kind of hungry and I'm going to eat
yeah.
you. So now it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and he does something similar to their American cousin. Forgetting the cousin's
oh,
name. Um, but like
Ben
he,
Fleming,
Felix. No,
Felix,
n-
no,
no, Farley.
Harley.
Farley. I knew it
Um,
had to.
yeah. But like, was that arousing that he was giving him a hand job? But like, he's also like, not only giving him a hand job, but right, what is he? He keeps saying, "Repeat after me," like, "I will behave," or
Was it a hand job though?
Was it a
thought
hand
so.
job or was he riding him?
Oh,
I
you
thought he
think he
was.
was
I thought he
riding
was
him?
riding him.
Oh,
I think he was full on.
oh
Yeah,
wow. He got on top of that quickly, so I don't know.
I mean, maybe he was
Very
ready.
little lube.
Hey,
Yeah.
maybe he was ready. But that's the thing too, is if you think about it, is if he's not in it for the sexual nature. I don't know that he could. Now, this may be far-fetched. I don't know that the pain of it would have even mattered because it's about the what he's getting from him. So the pain could be invigorating, it could be charging, it could be doing all this stuff, but also like,
It's
you know,
not Call Me by Your Name. That's where it's very different than Call Me by Your Name. That's about pleasure.
it's about pleasure and intimacy. This is about control.
Until he's at the grave. That's the first time he really is
But
penetrating something.
but do you think that that's intimacy though, and
Well,
pleasure?
I think in his mind, he thinks he's being intimate, but isn't it interesting that he never is actually physically with Felix? Like
But
nothing sexual happens with them together.
so I'm going to send you this link. I have to find it, but apparently there's deleted scenes where they were scripted to make out together and they cut it for storytelling, which let's fact check
I
this.
I I see them. I see Felix and Jacob Elordi, like those characters. I think they would have definitely had shared some intimacy if like Jacob's character didn't like expose his truth.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
finding
yeah.
out that his mom was not a drug addict, was and the dad was alive. I feel like that story would have like continued with like the nuance of won't they, is it taboo. I feel like growing up myself as like a gay man, I was my first like person that I ever talked to was a straight guy, and that crossing the boundary, not crossing the boundary, where would that have led me?
Yeah.
Like,
And I love that
Yeah.
you said that the whole straight thing, because like my first boyfriend was straight, and you know, like there was always this delicate little dance you had to do about what you said, how you said it, when you
yeah,
touched.
we're not gay, no homo.
Yeah, nope, no homo, bro. Um,
Kiss me, bro. That's my
Kiss me,
shirt,
bro.
everyone.
Yeah.
Just because I
And
feel like this film is playing around a lot with like
oh,
Two
what
best
is
friends.
straight
sexuality?
flexibility or
Yeah.
yeah.
But I also think that like, you know, when he finds out about the parents, it's not just because here's the thing, is if I would have found out about how much he lied about, he wouldn't have been going to any party. But how he treats him at the party as if he's mad at a lover, not a friend.
Mm.
Give me space, give me this, give me that. And you never see Felix fuck anyone in this movie until the Lambeth.
Mm. That's
And
true. Well, so do you feel like if Felix had never exposed Oliver's lies, that everything like then Oliver wouldn't have poisoned Felix?
oh yeah, someone would have been in
Yeah.
some ass. Yeah, there would have
Mhm.
been poison for sure. No,
Yeah.
because that was the progression of what this was. Is because they had to share intimacy about grief, and
Hmm.
Felix doesn't understand grief because that's not of his world. Like, remember, he said the only time we've ever done the rock was for my dog. And he's connecting him on really intimate levels that you really only do with a partner that you trust, you know?
Mm.
And I
Yeah,
think,
this was supposed to be a love story.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. And I think that the sexual acts of the bathtub and all of this stuff, it would have led to one inebriated night. And then we would have been like, oh, that felt good. Do you want to try that again?
Mm. That's
Hashtag
true.
high school.
I'm not no homo though. No homo.
Nope,
Do you want
no
to try
homo.
it
Yeah.
again?
Yeah.
As long as our
But
don't touch, wear socks.
do you like a question that when I was rewatching this is like I realized before um Oliver poisons Felix, before like he commits any acts of actual violence and murder, um, is this family is already screwed at the get-go. Like they already have kicked out Pamela, who then kills herself. Like they're
But
already
does
leading.
Pamela kill herself, or is it him?
Oh, that's true.
If he
Do we
doesn't,
find that out?
we never find it out. But if
Hmm.
he's truly trying to make sure that no one can come back, I got that sense immediately because of his reactions of her death, is
Hmm.
that he did it.
Yeah. But do you think that this family would have risen above and like resolved all their conflicts, or do you think they would have just been living in like paranoia and talking behind each other's backs about each other?
Well, that's
And
what you do when you don't have real life problems.
it's true. Well, yeah, because I was thinking like, why are they so bored? Like they have the wealth in the world, but they're not really exploring anything. And they're actually not that intellectual.
But they're
Like,
not really that wealthy. That's the
mm,
thing too, is it's inherited and they don't
yeah.
have money to like blow, on big extravagant trips. Because why would have this, if they had the money that we think they had, why is this whole film set at Saltburn for the summer? Why weren't they on expensive trips? Why weren't they doing this? Yeah, they had this lavish party, but is that for appearances?
Hmm.
Like I think there's a difference between old money and new money for sure.
That's
Um,
true.
but I think this family was fucked from the beginning because the dad is neurotic as hell.
Hmm.
And is that's not, no, it's not Hugh Grant. Who is that?
No, no, I'll find it out. Oh, but can we talk about one of my favorite performances ever, I think, is Rosamund Pike as Elspeth, who
Amazing.
she's
Amazing.
like a real bitch though. Like when I'm rewatching, is she's not nice. Like she's like, I hate people who are ugly. I'm like, oh, okay.
But same.
She's like,
Like I
she's
don't have
just,
ugly friends. Clearly, look at you, Andrew. I mean, where everyone's
oh, Tristan, that's sweet.
But even
Yeah.
but even how she talks about her friend Pamela, and she's
Oh yeah.
like, "Oh, Pamela, you could leave now," or
yeah.
like so disregarding towards her friend's feelings. And then when she did pass away, like what you were saying earlier, her best friend just passes away, and she's like, "Ah, she's always trying to do something dramatic." Like
She always
like
has to steal the
her
scene.
Yeah. But they don't really have a group of friends. Like it
Mm-mm.
is interesting. They really only have one person they latch onto at a time, and then they discard them and then get someone else. Like there is no real connections
Well, and they pass
between.
it around.
Hmm.
This
That's
person passes
interesting.
around. It's incestuous
Mm,
at times, you know?
yeah. Oh, Richard E. Grant. That's
Yeah,
the actor, not Hugh Grant, but
yeah.
close. No, he's like
he was
such
in
a
the
good
Spice
actor.
Girls movie.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay,
But
yes.
she as an actress, I had never seen anything she was in until Wheel of Time. And I became obsessed with her. And then
Mm.
she
You gotta
was,
watch Gone Girl.
yeah,
She's good in Gone
I
Girl.
still have not watched Gone Girl. It's on my list. But she's in that Madame Curie movie.
Oh,
Radioactive, radio something.
Uranium Girls,
No, that's a play.
right?
Or is it a movie now?
I don't know.
It's
There
on
is.
an Amazon Prime movie, but she plays Madame Curie and she's brilliant.
Mm.
Wow.
Yeah, but everything she's in, um, I really love. I mean, some critics had trashed that movie she was in, like where she's with the elderly and like, she's like embezzling their money or
I
taking
really
their money.
care.
Yeah, I actually kind of liked that movie.
That movie was amazing.
Yeah. So, well, her performance is always good. But yeah, I also don't know. I was reading some critics' reviews today just because of this recording, and I don't agree with them when they said that Barry was miscast as Oliver. I thought he was actually a really good choice.
Yeah, because here's the thing is, there's a play called shape of the Shape of Things by Neil LaBute. And it has a character that's just like Barry in this one, where he is, the nerd, the this, the that, and there's an artist who takes him and changes him. And her graduate thesis is how she changed him. It's very Frankenstein vibes.
Yeah.
And I got the vibes from this too of that is that they take him and they change him.
Yeah, it's
Be-
like Pygmalion,
yeah,
except it's not a woman they're transforming. It's not like that 90s film, right?
yeah.
What was the 90s film that was like the take on changing the nerd girl into like the prom queen?
She's all that.
Yeah, she's all that.
Yeah.
Uh, thanks, Lawrence. And but it is interesting what happens when they try to do that to a male.
Yeah.
And you don't really see that in film or stories a lot.
And how this is one thing that I haven't wrapped my brain around is how long from the time he leaves Saltburn to the time that
Yeah.
which I think is pre-calculated, premeditated, her in the coffee shop, how long is that? It's
I
not
think it's
that
4
long.
years.
Is
I
it
thought it was 4 years.
years?
I thought because
Maybe.
I just finished it, and I thought I saw on like the like time that passed, it was like 4 years. Because like now he's just finished like his med school or something. He was in med school after
Oh,
graduation.
see, I missed all that. I missed all that. I missed
That's
all that.
okay. I'll
Because
catch
I
us
was
up on
like,
this.
because now he's in this like ritzy apartment with all this fine art that resembles that of Saltburn. And then when he sees her, he's like, oh my God. Da, da, da. Like his whole tone changes, you know? He's this
Oh,
sophisticated.
it says in 2022, Oliver reads about James's death in a newspaper and then
So from
has what
2006.
to 2022.
Damn.
Yeah. So I didn't know it's that long of a time. Yeah. Then he meets her at a cafe. Um, and then she's insists that he comes back to Saltburn. And then when she's with him for several months, she becomes terminally ill. Yeah.
Terminally ill.
Yeah, terminally ill. My
Yeah. She's not terminally ill. She's
yeah. She
well,
being
what is he doing to her? That's what I
well,
still
he
wonder.
says the line, then all of those accidents happened. And it
I
never
think she fell. She had to have fallen, but all I know is that that was a long NG tube. Like I was in nursing school, and that was like 36. That was 3 feet. There's no way your stomach needs 3 feet of. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I didn't. There's a reason I didn't pass. But
well,
that was just like you just see this whole thing pop out of her stomach.
well, and I was just
Yeah.
like, let's talk about like metaphors. Like, come on. I thought I'm gonna tell you when he's talking to her and he pulls that sheet off, I was like, he is about to fuck her. He is about to fuck her in this hospital bed or do some weird ass shit to her. And then he's like riding her. Not, but then rips that out. And I was just like, it's very like, phallic. And
Mhm.
it's like a whole nother, it's like a sword, but he's like taking power, privilege, all this and taking it out of her throat that the woman would hold it in. Like I was just like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I
Well,
get
and
the
then
very
yeah.
meaning, or like why they were like why he had to do it. Like yes, like it was the final step into him like taking over Saltburn. There's no medical examiner wondering why her like feeding tube and why her breathing tube just fell out. Nobody's wondering. Like they tape it to your mouth so it doesn't fall out.
Wow.
And like
And that bitch was
I
ripped.
don't out of all the murders that happened in this movie, I'm just like nobody wondered what happened to her.
Yeah. Well, and also like the whole like so they had to be in a relationship for her to leave everything. Like, do you think that that's what he successfully did was get in a relationship with her? Or did she just leave it because she had no one else to leave it to?
I mean, she might have just trusted him as like saw him as family now.
Like he's
Ah,
Felix.
yeah. Yeah, but I'm just curious. Oh, he's Felix. Yeah, like her adopted son. That could be. But well, why do you think we have to talk about him fucking the grave? Like, why is he doing that? Because when I was with Lawrence in the movie theater, we looked at each other for a while, and I think everyone in that theater was like, huh? I mean, it
I
was
wasn't.
shocking.
What did you
That
say,
was still
Lauren?
one of the more. That was still one of the more like. The
Normal
only thing I was
parts.
freaked out about this whole movie was just the bathroom scene, but everything else was. I was like, that's fine,
You were freaked
whatever.
out by the bathroom scene?
The only scene that I've watched in any movie for as long as I can remember, that bathroom scene was the only thing. I was gagging. I was
The
throwing
bathtub
up. The movie.
scene?
Yeah, I'm a
Wait, why did
weird
that
person.
make you gag?
You were right next to me. You saw me. I was like about
But
to
why did it
throw
make you
up
gag?
because I just remember being in our dorm rooms or even the
Oh,
rooms in
Oh,
Montclair and like the universal shower. And I'm just
oh.
like, this is
oh, yeah, no,
so
no, no.
disgusting. I don't
Okay,
care if you're rich, if you have a bathroom that nobody uses. Like, I just thought about all bacteria and like
Yeah.
what could possibly be like
Oh, and
going
Lawrence, and
that drain.
we disagree because I'm obsessed with taking baths, and Lawrence doesn't like baths.
oh, I love
So
a
maybe
good
it's
bath.
just because you don't enjoy like bubble baths or, you know.
Well, and my thing is I also saw it as like, this is the romantic in me, is I think like eating ass is one of the most intimate things you can do sexually. I mean, like, let's be real. And it was very like on that same level for
Oh,
me.
okay.
Like he was
Yeah.
eating the cum out of his ass almost. Like it was just
Oh,
like because he's
I didn't
looking
think of
at
it
him,
like that. Yeah.
touching him, and then he's riding furlough. Like it's this whole like, I don't know, like
yeah.
that scene, I mean, I got a little flustered in a good way during that scene, but the bench scene had me out. I was like, when he like put it on her lips and the blood pulled away, I was like, I'm out. I'm
Yeah. Well,
done.
see, I think he would have rather, um,
See, that was kind of hot in my opinion.
oh,
And Andrew,
no, no.
I don't know. See, I'm a very macabre and like, I like darker things. So that was kind of,
You like that he role
that,
played as a vampire.
yeah,
Oh
Well,
no, that's
exactly
hot.
what I
I
thought.
mean, I could do that, but I'm just thinking like I've never been with a woman either. So like that could have been a whole nother thing, which I think it's natural, it's beautiful, it's great, it's this and that. But like I have my limits in the bedroom, and like that would definitely be one for me, like
yeah. But I do wonder if um he would have preferred like drinking Felix's juice from the source, if you know what I mean. Or do you think he didn't really
100.
want, so you think he would have like been really happy if Felix, let him go down on his knees? Or did he just like,
Yes.
or did he just like the aspect of like Felix's, you know, having some kind of leftover for him, if that makes sense? Because if you remember, when Felix says good night, mate, he doesn't even talk to Felix as he goes into the bathtub. So
Well,
like,
what do you say? I just watched you jack off and can't wait to suck your watered down cum out of a bathtub. Like, night, mate. Like, I'm fixing to have a nightcap of your fucking cum. What?
you should have said that. That would have been hilarious.
But like I think that he worshiped him.
Yeah.
But worship, if we want to take the religious lens, worship takes faith in a person, and it also takes questioning and anger. And that's when he said, "Did I love him? Yeah, I loved him. But actually, I think I hated him." And I think him being the submissive to him and then being able to flip it and be the dominant in his whole life would have been the ultimate sexual I can't speak.
Satisfaction.
Yes, thank you. To him.
So you've heard me gush about my friend Mandy Bengal's business called Mandy Made It. It is a cricket and crochet company. And as she says, especially for the kids at heart, which I think actually comes from Wizard of Oz. So I know that Mandy has made such beautiful items for Mary to Pippi, for myself. I have a Hocus Pocus bed and breakfast sign that says Sanderson Bed and Breakfast in my living room. She's also made the poison apple from Snow White for me as a crocheted item. Recently, I gifted my boyfriend a crocheted ghost face bouquet that is just so gothically, hauntingly beautiful. She, I'm sure, can make you bunny rabbits, flowers, anything that you want for the spring season. She's making Pokemon items right now. So make sure you follow her at Mandy Made It, Mandee Made It. And you'll see an example of all of the different items that she's been crafting right now. And because our Wicked Book Club is on April 7th, at 4 p.m., I definitely know that she could make an Alphaba and Glinda item for you. So I'm going to actually reach out to her because I'd love to have my hands on an Alphaba or Wicked Wizard of Oz Wicked collab item from Mandy Made It. And make sure you mention ITBR because she will gift you with a small free gift with your first order from Mandy Made It. Enjoy your crafts. Hi, this is Dr. Andrew Rimby, and I'm really excited to talk to you all about one of our ITBR sponsors, Broadview Press. Broadview Press is an independent academic publisher in the humanities that produces high quality, pedagogically useful books for use in university and college classrooms. They publish mainly in English studies, writing, philosophy, and history. They are always publishing with an eye towards diversity, building a strong list of titles from women, people of color, and authors from other marginalized groups. If you haven't heard my Broadview Press interviews, you need to. Recently, I just had on Dr. Shannon Day, who talked about her book, Beyond the Binary, Thinking About Sex and Gender. And in the summer, I had on Dr. Jason Holt, who gave us all a comprehensive history of what it means to be a philosopher who studies sporting culture. And of course, we went back to ancient Greek, literature, mythology, history to look at the roots of athleticism. And last year, I had on Dr. Jeffrey Andrew Weinstock, who's actually going to be coming on the podcast soon to give his thoughts on the new Fall of the House of Usher Netflix series. He talked all about pop culture for beginners. And Broadview Press is offering an exclusive discount because of our sponsorship. So head to broadviewpress.com where you're going to see such a wide range of literature. Use the code Ivory Tower, IVORYTOWER for 20% off site-wide all of their books. Again, it's broadviewpress.com. Enjoy your reading. Yeah.
He could
So you
please
think
him,
if he could have
because that's
just
what
been
he's
with
doing the whole movie.
like if he could have just been with Felix for the rest of his life, living in that mansion, and that Felix was now
Hell yeah.
beholden to him because all of his family was gone, that was
Yes.
probably his plan.
Yes.
But once Felix pissed him off and like pulled the
Yep.
carpet out from under him, he's like, "Oh no, you have to be my like first public. Like,
Yeah.
I need everyone to mourn you now."
Well, and if you look at it, so in the midsummer scene,
Mm.
Barry's character is Puck.
Oh,
So
okay.
in midsummer, Puck gets instructions and messes them up. So he's messing them up and he finally has to have a remedy. And he has to
Mm.
put people to sleep to get them right.
Oh, yeah.
So, and then there's the
Oh,
whole
wow.
thing, if we shadows have offended, think but this and all is mended. And they had the
Mm.
puppet scene. He has the rock under each one of those puppets in the last scene. All of it
Oh.
was the puppet master. This was
Mm.
all a game of shadows.
Wait, I thought, isn't Puck also like, isn't there something in Midsummer Night's Dream where they're trying? It's been a while since I've read Midsummer Night's Dream, but I do remember that gay romantic musical uh retelling of it, if you remember, Tristan. I know Lawrence knows it, but it's called like um the world, um if
If
the
the world were
world,
I.
yeah, if the world were I. And they're like putting on a Midsummer Night's Dream in this all boys school. And there's this like out
That's an awesome movie. Yeah.
yeah, it is. You have to see it, Tristan. If the
Okay.
world were I. And there's this out gay student and he like falls for the jock or something like that. And he like magically makes all the like men fall in love with each other and it becomes this really beautiful way of like
Even the homophobes.
yeah, even the homophobes like presenting this gay romance in a Shakespearean musical. But yeah, I thought, isn't Puck also trying to have people fall in love with each other?
Yeah, I mean, so
Yeah.
Puck is the one that Oberon gives and says, "Go get the juice from the
Oh,
flower."
see, go get the juice.
Get and puts it in his eye, and then the first person they look upon, they will wait. But here's the thing, is that I mean, this whole movie could be linked to Midsummer, is that the mom is Titania, the dad is Theseus, he is Lysander and Helena and Puck and Bottom and all the things, and we're all just playing characters. And in the end, he gets what he wants. Think, but this all is meant. You have but slumbered here, and
Yeah.
he wraps it up, literally. But like it's just that's the brilliant part, is that he is the master manipulator, but he also is the trickster.
Mm,
But he also knows how to make the plan to get himself out of trouble and everyone else.
mhm.
That there's this tidy little bow. But I think it tells you everything you need to know about his character is when he's dancing naked through the home of all these people that are dead. And the last scene we get is the puppets that we see that
Yeah.
he is creepy and he plays with. And
Yeah.
each one of them have the rock that he went and fetched from the river with their
Yeah.
name on it, either because he was the puppet master to all of this.
Yeah. So what do you think he's going to, he's telling his tale to us all after all the deaths have happened and he's probably danced naked in the mansion. What is he doing?
Well,
Like, where
he's
does
not
he
telling
go?
us his tale. He's
Mm.
telling her, remember, because it picks up and she's on
Oh,
the NG tube.
that's right. He's
Well,
smoking as she's
that's
on life
actually what I
support.
was just about to ask. He starts off narrating, if you remember, like he's talking to two, it looks like he's in an FBI room, like
Yeah.
being questioned. So the
Oh,
narrate, like it changes, like the
But if you
narration of the
look,
story kind of changes. So it's
if
like you're sitting there talking, and then the next cutscene, like I guess when we're like towards the end, he's like talking to her, like on the bed. So is it like he's telling her what happened to the FB? Like it there was a little bit of a disconnect, so that's why I just wasn't sure if any of you guys like picked up on that.
well, when I rewatched it, because that's one of the things I kept rewatching, he's in that same chair by the window in that room when we snap back.
Okay.
So he's in that room with her because he's finally telling the truth to her. Is because I thought the first time I saw it too, is I thought we were in like some investigation, what's gone down. And
hmm.
then the more times I watch it, I'm realizing that the only person who ever knows the truth is fixing to die anyway.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm playing the opening again just to like remember. But yeah, so he's smoking a cigarette. He's remembering the sweat of Felix. There's like all these montages of just Felix's eyes. He's like very drawn to his eyes, I feel.
Well, because
Um,
Shakespeare, the eyes are the window to the soul, or blah blah blah.
mm, yeah. And then well, what did you think of him watching Felix um like with that girlfriend that Felix had?
Well, that's it's kind of what Lawrence was talking about when you're like dating the straight boy, is that it's the envy of I can't have that. She's
Mhm.
and then I think that's why he lies about his dad dying, is that he needs something to get all of his attention. What's worse than your parent dying? So then that girl doesn't matter anymore, and then he fucks her
Mhm.
because she's
Yeah,
had
right. He had sex with her too. Like gets her drunk and like
yeah, and like it's just unreal. He wants everything that Felix has, and he wants him for his own. It's kind of like that SZA song, like I'd rather be in hell than alone, you know?
Yeah. I do have to say, they really do a good job of like making Barry's face look very different from when he's in college to like the jump. I don't know how they did it, but
Just
it
subtle,
does
maybe.
look like he aged.
filter filters.
Filters. I forgot there's a lot of tricks in films. That's right. Um, but okay. So I feel like we covered a lot. Um, Do you think that this film
Do we
is
ever
going
figure
to?
out why I
No,
was
go
gonna
ahead.
ask, do we ever figure out why Venetia keeps like going outside and like I mean everybody smokes inside. Why she keep like going outside at night?
Well, I think she was seducing him, right?
I
Was
mean
she,
even
or she
before.
keeps looking at the pond. And then I thought it was ironic that that's the first place they look for a dead body.
Oh, like Ophelia in Hamlet, who
Yeah.
dies
Yeah.
in the
She's
pond.
100% Ophelia. 100%. Daisies and Rue and all the
Yeah.
things. And then she
Yeah.
dies. She drowns because she slits her wrist in the bathtub.
Yeah. A place that he worships, but now it's a murder site with blood that he drank from her. Huh. Because he drank
Hmm.
from her too, just like he drank from Felix.
Yeah. Yeah.
He
Yeah.
loves to drink bodily fluids. Huh.
Ugh.
Um, but yeah, so do you think this film is going to be remembered, or do you think it's just like hitting a
Oh.
certain pop culture moment?
I think it's a pop culture moment. This is going to be problematic when I say this. Is I never mind, I'm not going to say it. Um, I think it's going to be like a cult classic.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, okay, I am actually going to say it. I think that Barbie was a good movie, but I think in 20 years, we're not going to talk about Barbie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think it was in the prime time. I think we're going to talk more about what happened at the Oscar nominations than we are going to talk about the movie. You know what I mean?
Oh, like we'll talk about Ryan Gosling getting nominated, but not Margot Robbie.
Correct. And how
Okay.
like tone deaf it was, you know?
Yeah.
I think the same thing about Saltburn. I think those of us who watched it and we've talked about it will show it to our grandkids when they turn 19. And then, you know, it may live on that way. But I don't think this is going to be like,
Is it a Cruel Intentions? Those Cruel Intentions to me had that is a movie I'll turn to, and I think it's always like Sarah Michelle Gellar's performance, in my opinion, is one of the
Iconic.
best. Like she's iconic. Yeah, she's just so smooth and talk about bitchy, just like off the wall with her manic, like her manipulation. She's so good at it. But yeah, I mean, do you think Cruel Intentions is a cult film, Tristan, or do you think that that's iconic?
I've only seen that film once and I don't remember it.
What? That is the greatest movie. But that's also another movie that's based off of
A
um
book.
like the play, right? The deadly unusual
Dangerous
suspect or the
uh
dangerous
Dangerous
liaisons.
Oh,
Liaisons,
yeah, yeah,
which
yeah,
was
yeah.
a novel, a French
Yeah.
novel that then was a play that then was made into a movie with Glenn Close, I think, that then they retold it from this perspective, from
Yeah.
the current day.
I see people
I,
talking about Saltburn going forward in time just because of the risky like
yeah.
pushes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like, you know, it pushed the envelope in a lot of things cinematically, and like those aren't movies that, or these aren't things that we've actually seen in like movies. It was a different telling of tale. But will I think people will remember? No, I don't think I this movie's not going to be remembered in like 20 years. We'll be like, do you remember that movie that had the bathroom scene? Like, you're not
Well, and I
gonna,
think,
nobody's gonna remember any of the
right.
any of this stuff.
I think this is going to be a good film to teach in a film class or lecture about in a theater classroom. I think
Yeah.
it's I think it's going to have more attention longer because of TikTok and the risqueness, but I think it's on the same level as Babylon for me. Babylon, I thought was brilliant. Some of my friends thought was brilliant. I could not have watched Babylon as many times as I've watched Saltburn, but Babylon did some risque, edgy shit that I've never seen in movies either, you know?
Yeah.
And it was mayhem.
Babylon was great. Yeah. Yes.
See, I have to watch. Okay, Lawrence, we got to watch it together. I haven't
Oh,
seen
I can,
Babylon.
that movie was crazy, but that was old school Hollywood. Like
correct.
I think that is fiction, but there's tones of Babylon that were
Wait, and that's with
like,
Margot Robbie, right?
Yes.
yeah,
You'll watch it
Margot
and you'll want to.
Robbie, I think Leonardo DiCaprio,
No, no,
Brad
it's not
Pitt.
Leonardo.
It's amazing.
It's good. It's really good. But I think you'll watch it and then we'll all three be back on here to talk about Babylon because it's
Yeah.
brilliant. As a person who's in the arts and seeing theater to black and white, speak talkies, I mean, or black and white silent films to talkies to the progression. I mean, because it goes from, the dawn before the film to the golden age of film to Avatar in this one
Yeah.
movie.
Oh wow. Oh, and Lars, your favorite actress, Samara Weaving, who was in the Scream movie, isn't it? The one who like
Yeah,
is the
she's in
film
there for like a
professor.
few
Oh,
seconds.
oh,
And
she only does
Yeah,
like
I was
cameos.
annoyed that they yeah, they bill her like that's what I didn't understand about I mean, not to off topic about another movie, but Babylon, like she was not top billed, but like the cast, she was pretty high. I guess it was just like they did it in order of appearance, but she was like third or fourth like credit, and she was in like three or four scenes.
Yeah, but she's in one of my favorite movies, Ready or Not. Like that
oh,
movie is wild. Um, I
but I
feel like
kind
we've
of
gotten
like,
some great, yeah, we've gotten great thrillers.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
and I kind of like the unhingedness we're getting into art.
yeah.
It's as an adult, I love it, but like I don't know that you heard me say this, Lawrence, but like my students were talking about watching Saltburn, and it freaks me
Oh my
out.
god.
It freaks me out when they talk about watching Saltburn and Euphoria,
Well,
and
Euphoria is
Yeah.
even more risque than
oh
Saltburn. I
yeah,
mean, Jacob Elordi on that and his father's character and all the like pedophilia. I mean,
and drug
yeah, I
usage
was
and
But
watching
like
Euphoria and I was freaked out with it. Yeah.
but so when you are teaching with like your kids, like is this like a few like conversations that I've had about not like um censoring, but a film like this you're seeing being advertised. It was being pushed all over Amazon Prime as soon as it was released. Like I was getting assaulted by Saltburn, like in between like movies or TV shows. The trailer would air. Like I was being assaulted with Saltburn. Do you think like that access for kids, like should this be a movie that like I mean, is it pushing the envelope or is it create like which direction are we going with our
I
country with movies like this that push
I
buttons?
but see, here's the thing is, I guess in a way, some of these movies existed when we were kids, but I don't remember ever watching them or being able to watch them. Like I remember my dad letting me watch the L Word. We talked about this, but I couldn't watch Brokeback Mountain. And when I finally watched Brokeback Mountain, I was like, the L Word is way worse than Brokeback Mountain. What are you talking about? Like, but with this, I just feel like as a society with our kids is I was telling Andrew before we started recording this is that I'm teaching middle school right now. I went from graduate to teaching middle school, and I teach 7th and 8th. And when I'm talking to them, it's like they're college age kids with their life experiences, the art, the movies, the things that they watch and they're interested in, but they have the maturity of 4th grade and 5th grade, but they're getting slammed with all of this stuff. And the thing on my TikTok is the same thing they see on their TikTok. And I'm like,
Yeah.
where is the line where kids get to be kids? Because they're now convinced, like I have this weekend at our competition that said, I'm a man. I said, you're 13. You're a young man, but you're not a man.
So you all know that I am such a fan of musical theater and classic movies. So I can't wait for you all to listen to one of my good friends' podcasts. It's called That Old Gay Classic Cinema, hosted by Christian Garcia. It's a podcast that looks at classic cinema films that we know and love. And he was inspired by Turner Classic Movies and The Great Movie Ride. Remember that amazing ride where the Wicked Witch of the West rose up in a burst of flame in Disney? That was one of my favorite rides. I'm so sad it closed. So, while looking at classic films, Christian is so excited to look at it with a queer lens. And he brings on friends like myself to talk about all of these films. I was on the first episode when we discussed The Sound of Music. I've been on an episode of Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo. He just released an episode about the Philadelphia story. He's done Meet Me in St. Louis, Sweet Charity, Psycho, Mary Poppins, Hello, Dolly. He had on Down the Yellow Brick Road hosts and the Garland Gab hosts to talk about The Wizard of Oz. So make sure that you listen to That Old Gay Classic Cinema on Apple and Spotify, and follow him on TikTok and Instagram at That Old Gay Classic Cinema. Okay, start watching the classic movies and make sure you listen to Christian's podcasts. LGBT stories are universal, but each one speaks to the individual heart and soul of the writer telling it. Do you have a story to tell? Or have you been moved by an LGBT book, film, painting, television show, or other form of media? Then the Gay and Lesbian Review wants to hear from you. The GNLR believes in bringing awareness to queer art and artists through reviews, commentary, and thought pieces in which the author relates their personal lives to a particular piece of art, a novel, a movie. In addition to the print magazine, the GNLR also publishes articles on its blog. So you can see all of this on glreview.org. That's glreview.org. Remember, you get 50% off your subscription of the GL Review magazine when you use the promo code ITBR50. That's 50% off your print or digital subscription when you use promo code ITBR50. To learn more about submitting an article for the GNLR, visit their writer's guidelines. The link is located at the bottom of their homepage. And if you have any questions, email Stephen Hemrick. That's STEPHEN dot HEMRICK at glreview.org. The GNLR and its readers can't wait to see what you have to say.
And they assume because they watch Euphoria and they do these grown folk business that they're grown. And I think that some of this is leading us off in a wrong direction. And I mean, like I've been in the mood lately that I think social media is the devil and we should get rid of it. But you know, because it's created this false narrative of everything for us, you know?
Yeah. Well, don't stop following Ivory Tower Boiler Room,
Oh, of
everyone out
course
there.
not. We'll keep that one going. We'll
No,
keep
no,
that
we have good social media. But
yeah, good
no,
one.
I understand what you mean. But like, think about it. Even if we were going to see Cruel Intentions, you'd have to go to the movie theater. And then if you didn't get to the movie theater, um, you'd have to wait for Blockbuster. And
But then
then
you
for
could rent it.
Blockbuster, if you were underage, you couldn't get the
Yeah.
movie. So it was all, and then you really wouldn't see it on TV until a channel played it, which would probably take like another few years. It was all controlled. But I mean, I love that everything streams. Like, I can't wait to watch this movie called All of Us Strangers, but it's not
Oh,
streaming
I
yet.
watched it. I watched it. I watched it. I watched it. I went to go
Oh,
see it in the
okay.
movie theater last week.
Oh, okay, okay. So is it really traumatic, like without spoiling things?
Um, I don't think it's traumatic. I think Good Grief on Netflix is more traumatic. It took me 4 weeks and 6 times trying to finish Good Grief because it was
Oh,
just real for me with my divorce and all that. But
oh,
I thought All of Us Strangers was healing.
oh, okay.
I didn't think it was traumatic at all. I mean, I think it shows us, well,
Yeah.
you say anything, you
Okay, I'll
spoil.
have to watch it. I'll watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Um,
I think you're right about that. Is it's about access because like what I remember probably 4 years ago when 365 came out, I was sitting at a restaurant with my mom telling her, and I was like, "You've got to watch this, Mom. It's what 50 Shades of Grey wanted to be." Blah 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 blah. And I think it
What
was
was it called? Sorry.
365. It's on Netflix.
Okay.
okay. I don't know. I'm gonna look
I
it
never
up.
heard of it. But I want to.
You should watch it. Yeah. The first one's okay, but not, the rest aren't great. But my 12, he was 11 or 12 years old. And my brother said, yeah, that blowjob scene on the airplane. And my mom and I just like dropped our jaws. And I was like, did you watch that? And he was like, well, it's on Netflix. I mean, I just saw a trailer. I just saw a trailer. I didn't really watch it. And I was like, I feel like that's the problem too, is that now kids think that that's what we should be doing. Like,
But do you think they're actually doing it in real life? Because I heard that like the younger people actually have had a drop in sexual experiences, but like they're consuming the content.
I think they're consuming the content. I can't speak for everyone, but I know at my school that I teach at, these are real things that are happening.
Mm.
And it's like, in on it, and we can talk about that off
Yeah.
camera.
But maybe it was happening, but it was happening when we were in school too, but we just didn't have public conversations about it.
But I don't think it's happening as public as in like everyone participating, but also like, like
I
everyone
mean, we
seems,
had rainbow bracelet parties. Don't you remember them, Tristan?
I never went to one of those.
What's
I didn't
that?
go to
I
that.
never had
That
that.
was the urban myth about, rainbow lipstick, or you would have rainbow bracelets and, you know, a girl would collect as many colors as possible if she was giving blowjobs to guys.
What?
Remember there
Yeah.
was that Lifetime movie
Yeah. And it
about
became,
it.
yeah.
It was like a no, but it was kind of like an urban myth, like how like some
What in the
people.
Degrassi is going on here?
Well, that's it. Basically was Degrassi's
Yeah.
storyline, but like it's like how people have like said that there are furries that like there's all these children identifying as furries in high school or middle school.
But see, like, here's the thing is like, south of my brother's hometown, there was a girl who like identified as a cat and wanted a litter box in the school, and they like bullied her out of the school. And I was like,
Mm.
what is happening? Because I was like, I was like, this is not really happening. And then I was like, oh God. I mean, I don't think it's happening as mainstream
Yeah.
as media would like to make it, but I think that it's giving kids a viewpoint that I don't want to say it's normal, because I feel like if you're expressing yourself, you got to explore, but they're also babies. Like even when I was 18, I was doing things I shouldn't do, but I wasn't doing what 18-year-olds are doing now, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like I keep saying, like, what do you have to look forward to? Like with Saltburn, they were connecting to it, and they were like, oh yeah, we did blah 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 blah. And I was like, what do you have forward to look forward to? I mean, like, you're just gonna grow up and pay bills, like what do you, and they're one thing I've learned about this group, which is also odd to me about them watching Saltburn, is they're totally okay talking about the act, but they're terrified of intimacy.
Well, see, that's the thing I'm saying is not that they're not having sex or sexual relations, but like in terms of building bonding
Oh yeah, they're not doing
relationships
that.
and intimate relationships. Like I can even see like with the younger generation, they're so aware of like all issues, but when it comes to like having interpersonal conversations, like there is a um it's disjointed between the millennials and the Gen Zers. Or not the Gen
Yeah.
Zers, I would say
Completely.
even a little younger than the Gen Zers.
Well, and
Alpha.
I
Yeah,
showed
Alpha. Thank you.
I showed In the Heights at school one day, and there was this kissing scene, and they went crazy. They were disgusted by it. And I'm like,
What?
every day you come to my room and you talk about the things you do, and this is what got you uncomfortable? Like,
That's
they're
so
over
funny.
they'll go through the motions literally, but they can't have the emotions. And
Mm,
I don't know if that's a social media thing, technology thing, whatever, but that also plays into Saltburn. Like that's what we kept
mm.
talking about, is that the relationships they had, this is pre-technology in the way we know it
Yep.
today. This
Yeah,
was
this
before
is when I was in high
Instagram.
school. Like when it takes place, I was in high school. So like I was trying to remember what was like the 2007, like what did that feel like? And it was a different time, which is funny to like look back on that. Yeah, because right, like technology was part of our lives. Like even they in Saltburn, they have cell phones, but it wasn't like the way
Yeah,
we're connected now. Like we weren't streaming,
no.
Saltburn on our phones. Like we weren't able to stream. We were maybe able to text. We could text. We could like maybe listen to some music, but I still had an iPod. So
We
Yeah,
could download illegal music, take
from
4 hours to
LimeWire
download a song.
and get
oh
a
yeah, it took forever.
computer. Well, yeah,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I was in the sixth grade when this movie takes place, and I was just thinking about like what I was like. I didn't even know what a blowjob was in the sixth grade, like, and
Yeah. Like usually you heard about those things not from the media, but from friends of friends. Like a friend would like
yeah,
I even was told about how I could jerk off from a friend. He's like, "Did you know that you could do this?" Like he's like, we've just gone through puberty. Did you know what happens if you do this to
Same.
yourself? And I'm like,
Same.
what?
And now they're
Yeah.
like, my middle schoolers are like doing the whole, as they call it, hitting a home run. Like
Wait, what is hitting a home run? Like,
you hit all the bases, kissing this, and the home run.
oh, okay. Well, we had the bases, but
Oh, see,
I'm,
I didn't.
I mean,
I
everybody
was a
should be
good
doing that.
Southern Baptist boy. I didn't do that.
oh yeah, wow. Uh, okay, well, this has been a really good time. I feel like everyone who's listened, let me know what you think of Saltburn if you're listening, reach out to us. Um, Tristan, I'll have to get you back on after I see either Babylon or All of Us Strangers. It
Oh
depends
yeah,
what happens first.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, this has been great. Oh, where can everyone, even though you're see social media as the devil, where can everyone follow you on social media?
Anywhere Tristan people, and that's where I'm at, all over the place.
Can't wait for you to be back on again, Tristan.
You too. Have a good night.
Thanks, Tristan. Bye, and bye, Lawrence.